All information contained in this podcast is general in nature and does not consider your individual circumstances. You should consider the appropriateness of this information with regards to your individual objectives, financial situation, and needs. Welcome to Sharing More Than the Sheets, a podcast to help you and your partner make better financial and lifestyle decisions so that you can both focus on the things that you love. I'm your host, Michael Curry, financial planner, green thumb, husband, and just dad. Sometimes when I record these episodes, I feel like it's a bit of a therapy session for myself, and it's only because I talk about particular topics and particular areas of improvement that I think we should all improve on, that I personally am working on. And today I want to talk about the importance of saying no. Now, I've touched on this before, but it's become a lot more relevant in some client conversations that I've had in the last couple of weeks, and even for me personally in the last couple of months. But it's very, very difficult to actually say no sometimes. And when you initially think about it, you assume it's hard to say yes, to agree to things. But from experience, and most people listening to this would probably agree, that it's actually harder sometimes, or in most cases, to say no than it is to say yes. And this could be for a couple of different reasons. Sometimes there is the fear of disappointing other people. Sometimes there could be, and for me, I'm a people pleaser, so it's something I fall into a lot, this trap. The second one could be, just the desire to be liked and accepted by other people. Sometimes it just could be FOMO, like you don't really want to do it, but there's just a bit of FOMO there that's making you just want to, that's stopping you from saying no. There's a guilty feeling that you can feel sometimes when you're putting your needs before others, or sometimes it could be you just being worried that it's going to, damage relationships or opportunities. So really, sometimes, in a lot of cases, it's really hard to say no to things. The thing is, the reason it's so important, the context I'm talking to you about this is I've spoken to a few people in the last couple of weeks that have their own businesses, or they work in a particular, one of them works in this particular environment where they're starting to feel really overwhelmed because team members are coming up to them or customers are coming up to them asking for things, and they admit themselves that they're taking too much on. The issue with this is that it's causing this really high level of stress, and it's causing them to feel really overwhelmed, and they know it, but they just keep making the problem worse. And they're trying to fix the issue that they're creating by just working harder or working longer hours. And this does nothing but lead to burnout and exhaustion. And if you think about it, we become less productive when we're feeling burnt out because we're literally running on empty. And it just means we're able to spend less time doing the things that we want to do as well, like whether it's focusing on the tasks that are of higher priority, or the type of jobs that earn you the most income, or spending time with friends and family, because you're just working late nights and weekends and not seeing anyone. And there are some really serious costs there. And it's actually really interesting when I talk to people, or even me myself, but when I talk to someone, they first tell me that they feel like they find it hard to say no, and then they continue on saying that they're feeling really exhausted and tired, but they personally don't connect the two things together. And the point I'm trying to make here is that if you step back and look at how you're feeling and look at the amount, your workload, and whether you are saying yes to too many things, you're going to find that most likely they're connected in a lot more ways than you initially realize. Talking from experience, when years ago I decided to stop saying yes to too many things, and as I said, I'm falling back into the trap in the last couple of months. Sorry, I have fallen back into the trap in the last couple of months. But for me, the biggest benefits I found of saying no to certain things is literally better mental health. And when I say mental health, I just mean more energy, not feeling as overwhelmed, and just really feeling that there's a lot less on my shoulders and a lot less on my plate. Secondly, I found that I had much stronger boundaries. And what I mean by that is when certain people, when they asked me for things, they now knew what to expect and what I could do and what I couldn't do, because I was able to draw the line. The issue is when you don't draw the line with someone, whether it's a customer or a coworker or even a friend, there is no boundary, and that line becomes very vague, and suddenly you start being asked a lot of requests which you were agreeing to, because again, you just feel bad. But as soon as you say no, they sort of understand where that line is. The other one I found is that it gave me a lot more time to focus on the things that really matter the most. And for me, that was spending more time with family. It was also being able to focus on the tasks, or you can say the things in my life that mean more to me as well, personally and financially. And also, in a way, it created like a sense of control over my time, because I was able to say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, instead of yes, of course, yeah, I'll make it work. Yep, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. And suddenly, when that happens, you don't feel in control of your time. Saying no isn't selfish. It's okay to say no to someone. And you'll actually notice as soon as you do it once, when it's difficult to do, as soon as you do it once, saying no again and again and again actually becomes a lot easier. It's just usually the first once, maybe twice or third time that you say no to someone, it's a little bit uncomfortable and you feel this awkwardness. But I promise you, once you start doing it, it does become easier. When you start setting boundaries, people start respecting your boundaries, they start understanding them, and they start understanding that, this is what Michael's going to say yes to, and this is probably what he's going to say no to. This creates healthier relationships because you'll feel more comfortable wanting to speak to these people and wanting to work with them or hang around with them. And just overall, it just means that you are in a better state of mind because of the reasons I mentioned before. Don't want to repeat myself. One of the most simplest ways to say no to someone is usually to just say something along the lines of, look, I really appreciate the opportunity, but I can't commit to that right now. Another strategy is that it's good to actually delay the response. So instead of saying yes straight away or no straight away, say, look, let me have a think about it. And that gives you time to process it. And that gives you time to then come back to that person and be like, hey, look, I've had to think about it and it's too much. I appreciate the opportunity, but I can't commit at the moment. That releases that tension and that urgency, and sometimes reduces the awkwardness. Sometimes don't feel like you always need to explain yourself, but it's okay to say as well that you're focusing on some other things at the moment. But the main thing is just to be honest. As much as you think it may upset someone, most people appreciate honesty. If not everyone, most people prefer someone to be honest with them than just to make something up and say, oh, I can't do this. So being upfront and honest and practicing it and learning to say no, I promise will have such a massive impact on your life. And it's simple, but there are books literally written about this topic. And I can tell you now from experience, it makes a big difference. And I can't wait for you to try it. If you're listening to this episode, if you're resonating with what I'm saying, give it a shot and learn to say no. Thanks for joining us on Sharing More Than the Sheets. Please make sure you subscribe to be updated with future episode releases, and feel free to share this episode with any friends or family that you think it might benefit. Please visit us at sharingmorethanthesheets.com.au to submit questions or requests for future podcast topics. These podcasts have been brought to you by Better Financial Planning Australia. To book a 15-minute phone chat, visit betterfinancialplanning.com.au.